Okay, meeting number 10. Hold on. Don't know what I did to my headphones.
How is everybody? Oh, we only got 3 in here right now.
Okay.
How's it going, Craig?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm good, back from PAX.
Yeah, how's that?
That was actually really cool. They have, like, some of the indie developers there had, like, really, really good ideas.
Awesome.
I kind of, like, stayed at some developer booths and talked to people who just, like, there are a few indies who work on their own and there are small teams there. The small teams were interesting. It seemed to be mostly PR people and, like, 2 or 3 programmers. It was kind of weird like that. But the ones where they were all programmers, they like knew everything, like absolutely everything, from like how they market their stuff to how to get it, like just like how to interact with people. It's pretty neat. A lot of them were doing puzzle type games, and there were a couple. There was like one guy who was doing a shooter, but his most people focused on the dynamics of their game being like the most important part versus like the gameplay. So it seemed mostly like the user had to think about what they were doing. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Alright. Is this it?
I guess so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Andrew and Morgan are,
Yeah, they're out, right?
yeah, and then Eric, I don't know where he is. Alright. Yeah, okay. So has anyone been up to anything particularly important? When are midterms for UIC?
Mine just finished, so I've been kind of like lazing off on this particular thing, but now they're done. So
Yeah.
my last midterm was yesterday, or well, yesterday as in the last time I went to school. Thursday. It was on Thursday.
Yeah.
So that's it. And there aren't more midterms. Like we have 2 sets. I don't know if you guys have 2 sets. It seems like you guys only have 1. We have another set coming up in like 4 weeks.
Okay. Good to know.
And then finals after that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
no.
got one more
She told.
on Thursday, but it's not too bad, so no sweat there. Okay. Mitch, what have you been up to? Anything? Yep, you're muted.
Are we still waiting on a few people?
Yeah, well, that's. Okay.
No, there's only one person. So Eric's the only one who might show up.
Still can't hear you.
No. The other Morgan and Andrew aren't gonna make it. So.
Okay.
Smoker's back. Oh, goodbye, Mitchell.
I was hoping that Eric would make it because he was the other major opponent of the networking. So.
Did he say he was going to make it, or did he just
No,
say he wasn't? Okay.
I didn't. Well, I didn't hear anything from him.
Yeah,
So.
that's what I didn't hear anything either.
Alright.
Alright, guys, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to get a little fancy there because I've got I don't have a webcam on the computer upstairs, but I do have a Microsoft Connect, so I was just like, bro, maybe I can make this work out. So, managed to get the video working. anything else.
Uh,
Okay, so as for my status updates, I haven't been able to get too much done in terms of our project, but it seems like I was asking a lot of people for help this weekend. I didn't really get any responses, so it seems like everybody's kind of in their own zone here.
yeah.
But yeah, so I looked a little bit into what Unity 5 has to offer in terms of networking. They changed very little, which is fortunate for us. You still just attach network views to objects that you once synchronized across the network. You still call remote procedure calls. That hasn't changed. Their APIs changed very little. I think literally the only thing their changelog had was something about if you make a HTTP request, so like you use your game to get on a website or something weird, then if you have a failed connection, it will give you more information, and that I think is it. So not a whole lot to say in terms of what's different. So going from 4 to 5, it looks like all we have to put up with is the sickeningly sweet graphics the camera's been able to get up for us.
Yeah.
So much nicer.
Yeah, that was really impressive. So that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I have another project going on alongside this one. We're using VR, and so we thought that we weren't going to be able to upgrade to Unity 5, but I tried it out today just kind of for shiggles, and it worked out. It was just like, oh my god, it's so much better. It takes it from this thing, looks like a bunch, like a bunch of students made it, and immediately it looks like, dude, I could be playing this on my PlayStation 4 right now and just like not even complaining. It's so much better. That
Nice.
and I've got a new computer. I ordered some new computer parts, so that'll be coming in soon. So if we need a demo
Awesome.
rig for this thing, I will probably hit like. So
What are you getting?
I'm getting a 970X.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah, I'm stupid pumped about it. It ships in tomorrow. I like scaled a little bit of money back. I got like the maximum clock speed on an i5 that you can get, because I was told that like getting an i7 isn't really worth the money, just because it's like, it says it's 8 cores. It's not really, it's like a hyper-threading thing Intel figured out a long time ago.
Well, it depends on what you need. Yeah. You dropped out on us.
Uh-oh. Oh, yep, sorry. Anyways, I wasn't really talking about anything related, so we can keep moving.
Yeah. Sometime I'll show you my rig. Let's see. I've been completely swamped. I had my boss came, and so I do programming in the physics department. My boss basically came and said, "Look, guys, our PhD professor, dude. Look, guys, this whole huge system that you've been spending months planning, and we're like gonna implement over the next year. Yeah, it needs to be done in like 2 months. So,
Ooh.
yeah." And I'm the dude who is implementing the entire front end to this thing, so I've been writing nonstop C++ code. But luckily,
I'm sorry just to hear that. That sucks.
Oh, I love C++ code. What are you talking about?
Dude,
I have actually.
I'm doing a project with C++ right now. It's like the first real C++ I've ever written. It has advantages, I'll admit, over doing it in pure C, but then it just has so many creative ways to fuck you. It's amazing. They should be like the design of how many you can get is enough to just completely make the language its own special.
And I love just writing code in my free time. So I mean, to me, this is what I love doing. So, anyway, so that was a chaotic week, but it's slowed down. Hopefully, this week it'll slow down, and then next week I'm taking off to focus on this. All right, Mac, what about you? Anything? Oh yeah, we already talked about you.
Yeah, not really. I was paying attention to a lot of the conversation that was going on. I tried to lend some assist yesterday as I got back. I'll say one thing though: if you guys ever travel to Boston, the public transport sucks. So try to avoid it. It really sucks. Like, we're talking real bad. So no real update there. Though I have been reading like in the conversation log just because it comes to my phone and whatnot. So it's really easy to just like swipe through and look at it. Other than that, no, nothing update.
Okay. All right, Cameron, what about you?
I've been working. Hold on, it'll just be easier to show you guys like always.
Yeah.
Desktop. All right, I've been working on getting the user interface done.
Cool.
So I'm still not entirely certain what everyone needs to be displayed like at all times on there.
Okay. So,
But I've gotten things I figured were more important.
all right, to give you some feedback, we're probably not gonna want to like show what the actual. So we'll want to have the icons
Yeah.
like that, and
Right.
then hover over them, or I don't know, some like select, and it pops up a screen because there's
Right.
going to be a lot of stats for each of those items probably.
I was talking to someone about that, and our idea was like this is what you see normally, and then you like click a control stick or R2 or something, and that pops up for a few seconds, and then like slides back behind it.
Okay. Well,
So it's not
keep working
visible all
on
the
that.
time.
Otherwise, it
Yeah, I
looks
like
really good.
clicking. I like clicking controls. That would probably be pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a side note, this is fucking beautiful. Just to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I
And
mean,
then what else? Where did the other screens go? I've
do
been
we have
working on
that
making.
tile set implemented yet? Do you know, Zoomer now?
No, I don't think I've gotten all the things up for it so far. I
Okay.
still need to do that. I'm going to do that after this meeting, I guess.
Cool.
I've been working on getting some decorative tiles built. Some things are still not textured yet, like these bits. But I've got in some broken walls for debris and stuff. I'm starting making like torches or like wall lights and stuff.
Awesome, awesome.
Just that's what I've been working on.
Okay, cool. Well, that looks good. Alright. Networking. Fight no one wants to have. Okay, so I'm really on the fence about it. You know, because it seems almost too easy, if that makes sense. And I think we're simplifying a lot of the issues that we're going to come up against. That taken with, Mark's comments. I'm just wary of it. It is a gamble, and it's a big gamble. So for me, that leans. I'm now sort of leaning towards no after looking at it, thinking about it some more. So.
I mean, I think it would be
Okay.
nice.
So
I don't have a strong enough opinion, so.
yeah. So even with what Mark said, I mean, he's really just telling you guys what I sort of said, right?
Yeah,
and
sure,
not
sure.
just not as many words. So that I told you, like, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna sacrifice stuff. There's no way around that. It isn't like just dropping some shit in and then writing a script and then it's done. It's like I said in the little write up. I mean, everything we do from that point onward
Sure.
is going to have to count for this, right? I mean, it's going to have to be in every system we make. It's going to pervade the whole game, is the concept of how this data gets synchronized. So I never said it would be easy, right? The last time we were all kind of excited about the way it would pay off, though, because network games are just totally awesome. I don't think it's anything that anybody's tackled before. And I could say that if our game looks as good as it is right now, I mean, if the game didn't look any better for the rest of the entire project, I think I'd be satisfied with the way it is. If it looks the way it does right now, if it's networked, I mean, we're going to walk in there with a game that we could, like, almost greenlight. I mean, it could almost just go to release. That's, the thing, the last time, we were talking about this, and Eric brought up extremely good points. I agree with every one of them, right? I mean, I think that the only thing that maybe I don't agree on as much is that if we don't spend our time doing this, that the subset of the game that we wanted to build is somehow not as good. Are you guys there?
Yeah, you're so good.
Okay, yeah, sorry. All of your icons stop moving. I'm on my phone here, so I'm just trying to figure it out. But so we do, run the risk that the game won't be as good in terms of gameplay wise. But I guess it's all about what are we trying to do here? If the goal is to walk up, demo an awesome game, and then get down, right? I think it's important for us to keep in mind the odds are pretty good. Nobody else is going to play it really. It's going to be dependent entirely on the demo, right? So if I'm optimizing this game for the audience that we're going to have, I can tell you that I would much rather somebody walk up and say, "Here's the game. We just made this, but instead of being up here doing a boring demo, we're just going to take our 15 minutes and we're all going to play it." Like that. That to me would be stupid awesome. And that's what I really want to do it for, right? Is the ability to walk in and do a demo that nobody's ever done. Because that's exactly what Mark said. As a networking, lots of people try to do it. It always falls a little short. Well, that might. I won't put a guarantee that that's what's going to happen. Is that we're going to be able to do it. But at the same time, I can tell you that the APIs we're dealing with are robust enough that doing it right is feasible, right? So.
Yeah.
It's still a big decision. I still lean yes, but I could be talked down from it. I'll put it that way. I think.
Yeah. Well, I've come up with a pretty good way. I think that will to make the AI and that whole system be network friendly. And basically, it's by moving the intelligence onto the server and then just having sort of a dummy object that is moving around in the game. However, we would have to deal with some network lag, some other issues. The combat system is really, to me, the big kicker. That's the part that we're going to have. We need to make sure that needs to be grade A networked. So if we go this route, what would immediately happen is you, Andrew, Eric, and I would probably just start focusing on combat so probably to start off, you and Eric would make the core systems networked. Once you've got that, and you'd start immediately, and we'd be pushing this to see how far we can get. I will jump in with Eric and help him with the combat system. From there, once y'all
sorry, keep going.
Once y'all have the network, the core of the network in, Eric and I will probably push in the network code. While all this is going on, we have to make sure that we're also paying attention to the game interface. That's something that's really lacking. Mac, I know you still have an interest in UI stuff?
Yes.
All right.
Can you
well,
hear
then,
me? Cool.
I think,
I've got something to add on top of your networking thing.
Sure.
So if we go the no networking route, then 4-player becomes a thing, and if we go, 4-player on one, screen becomes a thing, and then if we do go the networking route, do we allow 4-player on one screen because you need to send 4 times the player data out? And then so we would go 1, so that changes the screen real estate that you have to deal with, number 1, and number 2, it changes the way the user's probably going to be able to interact with the content because you just don't have that screen real estate. So we need to figure that out, pretty badly.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that design hinges on this particular, how many people are actually going to need the screen.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So, God, I really wish there were more people here right now. Because, we need to decide now, and we need to get going on it. I think the only person who's really strongly against it is Eric, and I think he has a good reason behind it. So, he's the only one that's really against it. So, I think we should go for it. Thoughts?
Well, what did the poll tell us? I think it was like, you have
It
1 to
agreed.
5 and everybody can see. Like, okay, so it did agree.
Yep.
By how much?
Let's see.
I think 49% or something was like neutral.
No, it's I don't like how you can't really see the votes. Well, okay, so it's 2 no, 1 of those is me, and I'm really more neutral. 3 neutral. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, so 2 no, 1 yes, 1 most definitely, and 3 neutral. So it's on the fence. Leaning
Great.
yes. I just
Well, I would throw the neutral people to 1- because if they're not strongly opinionated,
okay.
then their votes don't count.
Yeah, I'm on the neutral side here, but I don't really.
Yeah,
doesn't
I'm
really
on the
affect
neutral
me
side as well.
for them.
So, I think networking is a really cool idea. I just feel like, yikes, oh my god, you can run into so many, run into bugs that don't even exist in the frame that we're even thinking about right now.
Okay, well, given if we consider that, then it's very strongly to the no direction. And then we start focusing on content. And something that Eric said last time that I think was actually a good idea, rather than develop this for a computer, see if we can get this to run on an Xbox or a PS4 or whatever. That's kind of an interesting idea, I thought. I mean, I know that Unity is...
Yeah, it is, but unfortunately to get... Well, Unity can export to them, right?
Yeah.
Unity can export to anything. You would have to talk to Sony. Like, they don't have any student license.
Oh, you have to have an extra thingy.
Yeah, you talk with Sony, you get a license through them, and then you can plug in there. It's not, it's kind of...
Oh, you're dropping out now.
You sound like a robot.
Robot.
God, I
This is
hate
really
closed
painful.
software systems. That's so irritating. Alright, well that's not a big deal. We can bring my machine and we can run it on anything. Alright.
Okay, is it am I a little bit more steady now, or
Yeah.
anything like that?
Yeah.
We good?
You're
Looks
good
better?
right now.
Okay. So just to go back real quick, so Unity can export to anything with thumbstick. In the presentation, they said that they support something like 23 platforms. But on the case of the consoles, you do need to go up to Sony. You get the license, and then you send that license. Spend $1,500. That's how it used to go. So, and then you get the plug-in export. You can't just click a button and burn a Blu-ray and toss it in. So
that's so stupid.
Well, I mean, this is something that got implemented after like the video game crash in the 80s. Is that console manufacturers have to be careful what games take on their platforms. You can read a little bit more about the history of Atari if you're curious.
Well, just to develop on it, you have to. I mean, closed platform development, that's just asinine.
It's
but
silly.
Okay, whatever. That's not a big hurdle to. That's not a problem. We can do it on a computer. Okay. All right. Well, so if we take the neutral votes as against, then we're firmly in the let's not do this camp. Does that sound fair?
Again, I'm neutral, so.
I feel that errors on the safety, or the side of safety, and that's probably wise. Because the neutral people are there because they don't care either way, or they have their reservations about both, but that means that they would probably want to go with the safer bet. I mean, I'm neutral too, so I would throw my vote far left if need be.
Okay. Mitch, oop, you froze.
All right, so I don't know if I'm still running up because.
Robot, here. Can you type in the little group chat?
Say it again.
Oh, there you go. Nope, never mind. Sorry.
Oh, God.
I'm getting video, but not audio. Yeah. In the chat in this window if you want, or here. I'll move this over like this. This over like this. Which none of y'all can see, but you'll be able to see if you watch my video. Okay.
Okay. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I'm back.
Oh, now you're in a separate window. Alrighty.
Yeah, that's fuck this thing. I don't know, man. But
No worries.
yeah. All right. So I guess I'll phrase it about one more way on the networking thing to maybe try and pull some people off the fence if they're still just kind of like, this way, that way. You know, I still can't make any guarantees that it'll work, but you know, if we're gonna do something that's gonna be different, or that's gonna be impactful, we have to take a risk. I mean, you can't play the safe game the entire time. Yes, this could not work, right? I'm convinced by the way the project looks right now that whatever we turn in on demo day is going to be above average, even if we almost just stop development after the midterms. I don't. Judging by what I've seen from some other projects, this is definitely an accelerated group. We've definitely got a lot of talent, and I think that we can pull off something pretty good, whether networking works or doesn't. Right? It's all about how far are we willing to go to really impress people. Right? Nobody else is going to have this. Nobody else, at least, has talked about having this. So I could say pretty confidently that it's not likely that we're going to run into other teams or groups that really wanted to take this. So. I mean, that's the best I can give you is that, I think that the game that we have really should be networked it's like a genre requirement. If we're going to call it a MOBA that's not connected to the internet, we got to find a new genre, right? Because the O in MOBA definitely stands for online, right? Not making that up. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents. Is like, if we're going to call this a MOBA, it's got to have the internet. If we want to, do something that's impactful, you got to use the internet. If we want to make a modern game, we've got to use the internet, right? It's it's experience for everybody all around. It's going to be the coolest demo ever, and I don't know. I've never been super jazzed about splitting the screen into 4 sections and doing that whole thing. I mean, I'm fine with doing it if we can't do online, because this game definitely needs to be multiplayer, but we can't export to consoles without getting a license, so it would be the weirdest situation in the world to get somebody to play this game, right? The games I've all built have been around some hardware thing, and I was kind of excited to have a game where anybody can just play it. Like, I could send it to a friend and they could just do it, right? But if I have to send it to them and be like, I hope you have 2 controllers, and I hope that you're willing to hook it up to your TV and then connect those 2 controllers to your computer. Hope you have enough USB ports for that. Like all this crazy shit. I mean, I don't know. I'm just a little bit more. I would be a lot more excited to send this game to people and be like, dude, you should play this if there's a server running, if there's a way for people to play it and connect to it, and just it would be a regular, completely modern video game if we add this feature. If not, it's a student project. Now, it might be a better student project, but I can't make any guarantees. That's the best I've got. That's the assessment. That's what the week taught me, is that yes, it's going to be hard, But I mean, you guys played the cube game. You guys all had a pretty good time just shooting each other with a motherfucking cube that took no artistic vision whatsoever. You know what I mean? So that's best I got.
Okay, this would be 3-9. To 3-13, 3-13-15. How long would it take you to get the core of the network implemented?
The core of it?
Yes.
Let's see. If the core of it is just synchronizing players on the same screen, I mean, I could probably have that before the week is out, definitely. I'm a little busy
Everything without combat.
Yeah. All the stuff that we have right now is just players moving around, right? Nothing else?
Pretty much.
Then yeah, I could have that up pretty soon. We'll have to figure out like a way of establishing a network connection and moving it between scenes. So, you know, having like a scene where you select a server or whatever, and then another scene where you stay on that one. So I'd have to figure that out, but that's probably the biggest challenge.
Additive load.
Other than that, synchronizing transforms between them is like what Unity's bread and butter is. That's gonna be pretty easy. So I get a little fancy with it. I could do some interpolation between them so that they move smoothly instead of just appearing, which is expected, and I will be doing that. But you know, honestly, that's the best I got. So probably before the week is out, but I can't start on it until probably at least Wednesday.
Okay, Eric. Andrew would be working with you. I know he's been muscling through a lot of this. 3/19/15. If we do this, we should have something working for the demo. Because this is a huge fucking gamble, and I don't want to walk in there empty-handed.
Well, wait, are we serious? Are we trying to do this for next Friday?
Just getting the combat and the network.
Okay.
I think we can do it.
For next Friday, right? We still have
Friday.
like a week plus 2 days, or 4 days, whatever.
4 days, yeah. It would not be easy, but I think it is possible.
Well, let's we can at least, you know, take a safe bet here and say let's for the demo still expect just the combat, the tile mechanics, like all the stuff that we've got, right? That we had planned for it, but we can simultaneously be setting it up. I mean, we have 7 programmers, for Christ's sake. I mean, we could definitely take some guys and have them move over and do the networking stuff as opposed to trying to jam everybody into the rest of, you know, whatever's left over for what we're trying to present at the midterm.
There is, whoops, okay. If you're watching the video right now, everything just turned ember because my flux turned on.
Nice.
Oh my god. Okay. So there, if you can see. Oh wait, here. Let me present this. You can see. Is this third screen? Okay. Here. This would be the way forward that I think would get us there quickly and effectively. I don't think we'd have AI in the game for the demo. It's not what I'm expecting. I think the primary focus would be combat. And Morgan and I would first focus on cleaning up anything else.
Bucky.
Let's see, and then we have from there. Let's see, what are we looking at? We're looking at. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 weeks. One of those being spring break, which would be good. Spring break's probably when I'm going to sit down and really dig into AI stuff.
Yeah, I can tell you that my schedule opens up a lot more after April because my honors thesis is due April 1st. So immediately after that, I'll have some more free time to put into this,
So then,
personally speaking.
So spring break, if we get AI implemented spring break, then we start polishing for 4 weeks. And maybe we yeah, so that would be PvE stuff. The odds are base mechanics are cut. I just don't see the time for it. Maybe we get there, but
Wait, base mechanic? Like the dungeon thing that got transformed a million times?
no. The turrets and all that shit.
Oh, okay.
I think we'd probably keep in turrets because they're pretty simple, but too much more. I don't know. Actually, I guess there really isn't that much more. We've got turrets and then maybe blockades or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, actually.
I'd like to keep that in because I think that'd make the game a lot more dynamic and fun to play just between 4 players over and over.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty straightforward. Okay. Alright. Then okay, so let's see what week is 10. So this is 9. Let's see if we have. How many weeks do we have? Let's see, we've got. Okay, 11 is UIC spring break. So 16 is final presentations. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so experience. User experience. Base mechanics. Oh, hell, we haven't even. Okay, this is going to be resource system. Base mechanics. And then polish. And we'll be polishing as we go, of course. Okay. How does that look to y'all? Technically,
I think that looks reasonable.
We have this week to polish. I think that's doable. It's not going to be easy, but I think we can do it.
Yeah, I think that the 3 weeks of polish time or fudge time or kind of whatever you want to call it, that makes this a doable schedule. Because I mean, the truth is, I forget who it is. I think it's like Maxwell's law or something like that. But anyways, it's like the amount of available work will expand to fill the time that it has to complete. So. Sure. We will not be done with the game by week 13.
No.
But we could make this anything. It's we're going to get done what we're going to get done. But I think that it's reasonable that we have like those 3 extra weeks of time for us to be like, okay, this is still shitty, so we should fix this, and okay, this is still kind of not where we want it, so let's try this and blah blah. So yeah, it looks like a reasonable schedule to me if we were gonna take on the networking side of things.
There's some very good points either way. All right, so you are going to be okay. Would you be able to get with Andrew early this week and sort of start walking him through what needs to happen? Because I know that he can sort of rush things. He's been chugging along. If he can keep that pace, that'll make a huge difference here.
Right. He asked for the build of the cube game that I made up, so he's kind of on track with my knowledge so far, as far as I know, anyways. So yeah, he and I should be able to get together as long as he and I can find some time. But like I said, I wouldn't expect the core of the networking to be done. Well, first we really need the combat. I mean, if we don't have that, then we can't get too far. But the core of the networking, which is you click play, start at a screen where you can select a server, and then go from there, and just everybody's synchronized. That shouldn't take too long. I should have that done by Monday, I would say.
That is synchronizing players, synchronizing in-game assets, synchronizing the game state, any sort of calls, synchronizing the tile system. That's all there's a ton that we need before we get to the combat system, and then we still have a ton with the combat system.
Right. So, I would have to look at how we're managing tiles, because if it's still the way that I implemented it back in the day, I'll have to rework. I'll have to do a little bit of thinking on how that'll work next. But
if you integrate it with the tile class that I asked Andrew to implement, then you can simply follow objects, or simply make sure that 2 structures are the same, and you can make them remote calls to change and keep track of. That might make it a little easier.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I would say that the risk, though, for trying to have this for midterms is combat, because without playing it, without knowing, I mean, we're limited to what we can do about it until it's implemented. So
sure.
But I'm confident that I could have everything that we have so far. I'm pretty confident that I could have synchronized, because nothing terribly unique is going on right now. Nothing high speed, like low latency, is happening right now. But that'll be the challenge for midterms if we get there. So
yeah, I think I've got a pretty good way to implement the combat system that will resolve a lot of the network issues that I'm worried about. And I got to talk to Eric about that and make sure that, because I do think his concern of keeping this fast-paced is important.
I agree.
And so the way to do that is to not use the collision system. It is to say, okay, play the animation, but then just say, okay, is there a object within this range, within this angle, from this angle to my position? And I can do that. Then we aren't trying to synchronize, what happens if a player object isn't synchronized position quite right because of some latency? It sort of fixes some of those issues. um, reduces the complexity there as well and allows us to have something that is more focused on remote calls, which would be
Well,
nice.
so the challenge with network games, right, is pretty much this. Let's say that we're playing a first-person shooter, right, and you're aiming at some guys, you're like a sniper, you've got them in your crosshairs, and you're watching a move, and right before you pull the trigger, the packet drops, right? So the game doesn't actually know where he is, but in your view, right, at that moment, you shot him, so does the shot count is the question, right? Because maybe on the client side, the guy managed to move out of the way fast enough that you didn't shoot him, right? So that problem applies here, right? Because even with what you described, collision systems or doing it by hand doesn't really matter, right? Because it's all about if I pull if I swing the sword, right?
Sure,
and
but by doing
blocks,
it this way, we can have a server authority.
Right, but the reason that you want the shot to count, right? The answer to that question is, does the shot count? The answer is yes, and the reason is because what you don't want as a player to have a situation where you hit somebody, you saw it happen, but it doesn't register, right? That would be absolutely infuriating. And so that's why the authoritative versus non-authoritative server model, we typically want to go with a non-authoritative model in terms of fast-paced action games, right? Authoritative is a little bit easier, but just given what we've got with this, it would be difficult to make that happen where I, as a player, swing a sword, hit some guy, and it counts, right?
Right.
Because
I mean, that's fine. I don't have a problem one way or another. So I need to see where he's at and what he has planned and how it's laid out, and then we'll go from there. That's the first step there.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have this discussion at our Wednesday meeting, because I mean it should be a discussion, but I think it's just too early to really get into the nitty gritty of it. I understand where you're coming from, and I don't have too much of an opinion either way, so that's fine.
Right. What I would say, and this is just as a precaution, right? I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if we do try to have this, let's maybe have an alternative plan thought up for how the combat goes that might be a little bit slower. Although I don't want this, right? I would be much more dedicated to bending networking to make it work as opposed to changing the design in that sense, because I like the way the combat has been designed so far. But we should have a plan B if it's not working out, right?
Well,
because it's you got to keep in mind, like, it's 200 milliseconds on a good connection, right? Going from one place to another. So you have to keep that in mind, right? Is 200 milliseconds going to make a big difference? And when it comes to frame by frame action, I mean, you're talking, I don't know, like 10 frames, right?
Yeah. Well, so the solution is to make the combat system reactive instead of preemptive. So instead of preempting a block, you react to an attack, and then you can say, okay, someone attacks you, you have half a second to trigger a block. Or, if they did a feint instead of a block, you can do something along those lines. And by making it reactive instead of preemptive, you fix the majority of those network issues. It slows the combat system down a lot while still keeping the core mechanics. And then if we get to the point where we can speed it up, it would be pretty easy to transition the other way around.
Okay, I hear you. No, that could work.
So maybe that's what we'll look at. Let's see, once you have the network core in and we kind of see how much latency there is, we can go from there. The only thing that I would very much like to try to come up with a solution with would be making this. So, does this work with LAN? If that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. If it works with LAN, then we can say, all right, we're designing this game assuming we have LAN speeds. I know that that's not as fun as, have people from UIC connect to people at LSU, but that reduces a lot of the complexity on our end.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I think that if we do this on demo day, we should have 2 servers set up, one for the LSU crowd to compete on, and the other for
Yeah.
the USC guys. I think that that would make it a lot easier on our end to design this stuff, because I think that when you're talking about a local network, you're really talking to more like in the neighborhood of like 20 seconds of latency,
Yeah.
or 20 milliseconds as opposed to 200, 300,
Yeah.
400, something like that, which is, you know, if it's a frame or two, I don't think we have to change almost anything. We might not even have those safeguards, but so
Yeah.
we'll definitely look into it and see what we can do about it.
Okay. All right. Then let's go this route, and then come demo time, it will be. I think it'll be pretty easy for us to bail if we need to. You know, if we can't get this working or there are major issues, come demo day, after the demo, we're committed to trying to do this as a network demo. Or, you know, have this be somewhat single player for our demo. Just be like, look, we've got these systems implemented, their network, we're still working on the networking. You know, if we can't get the networking to work all nice and pretty, we'll at least have it working to some extent, because we know that we can get players in the same game. Then if we yeah, then come week 11, if it looks like there's an issue, we bail. And I think if we bail, we will still have time. It'll burn a week probably, but we will still have time to produce a good game.
Okay,
So.
I agree. I think that works, especially since we have the 4-player system pretty much there, right?
Yeah.
We would have to actually actively remove it at this point. So
yeah,
as long as we just kind of put it on top of that, I agree that bailing is a thing that we can do. You know, failure is an option. So that being said, So the plan then, just to restate it, is that we're going to make this a networked demo for midterms.
Yes.
Right. We'll have a cutoff point where we say, okay, shit's not coming together. We can't do it for this. But you know, and depending on how badly it goes, you know, leading up to midterms, we'll kind of take it from there and re-navigate. But but assuming now, here and right now, we're saying this is a network game. Period. Right.
Yeah, we will be chugging ahead at full speed towards midterm. So at a bare minimum for the midterm game, we want the environmentals, that is the map itself, players running around, people able to swing their swords. I don't care if the combat system works or not. All we need is the pretty Unity 5 and people in a game.
True.
That will get us a decent grade. Okay, so that is we will be rushing towards that. We will not bail out until the midterm demo. Then that following Monday, or, you know, at the end of that demo, whatever, we'll probably have a meeting before the demo, and we'll look at it and we'll say, okay, come this weekend, starting on week 11, are we bailing or are we going to continue? And week 11 we'll decide if we're bailing, if we want to bail.
Okay.
So
that sounds like a well-laid plan to me. We might want to update the Trello to reflect that. So maybe we should get I think it would actually be a good idea for us to have a checklist of things that we need for next Friday. So the background music, combat, and networking, I think, are probably the 3 big things at this point that are still on the to-do list. Unless somebody has another one that I'm forgetting.
I'm not too concerned about the background music, honestly. So for the midterms, the main things that I'm looking for is I want to get the new tile sets from Cameron, the UI, players in the game that are synchronous, ish. You don't have to be perfect. They just got to be close. And the ability to control the player and perform the standard set of animations, those being movement, attack, block, or parry, and feint.
Right.
The
I
only
got-
thing I would say with that, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
No.
in terms of background music, I'm actually going to say we really need to have that, right? I think we're close,
that's
right?
fine.
I mean, yeah, because the thing is, and I was talking to this about Cameron leaving class the other day. There are a few moments as a game developer where you're actually building a game. It's when you add sound. When you add sound, now you're playing something, right? Before that, you're really just fixing stuff, and that's just like a personal opinion. But I think you guys will probably find that as we work on it, whenever you hit play and like the background music starts going, and you're like, you're sitting there with the controller, you're like, yeah, all right, we're doing this, and like you're actually playing something. And I think there's a big difference in the active actually hearing stuff go on that makes it somehow more significant. So I'm really going to say we really should have background music, at least for the demo. I'm not saying that we need the sword clinks and chinks and the footsteps and like all that other crazy stuff, but there should at the very least be some driving rhythm that gets everybody involved with it. Plus, I feel like we should be close to this by now. I think this is what Morgan's really been working on, right?
Yeah.
He said in the I forget what he put in his status update, but I think he said that this is pretty close.
Um,
Let me see. Hold on. Oh, okay. He says he has to redo the audio approach. Well, okay. As long as he's got background music, he shouldn't have to change anything, I don't think.
that's fine. He has all of this week with this schedule.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Sounds good then.
okay. Here, let's see. Background music. Players loaded. Okay. For the resource system, it's not. I'm not saying finish the resource system. I'm just saying take the resource system we have now and network it. We don't have time to focus too much more on that.
Right.
Okay, that is the bare minimum that we're shooting for. Goals are going to really just come down to fully working combat. Combat and items. That's there. So to some extent, we're gonna need to okay. Alright, well, I think this is doable. Yeah, alright. So Mac and Cameron, if y'all start on user interface, just assume you've got a whole screen to play with.
Okay.
We'll start there if we need to, but keep in mind that if we bail, you should have an exit strategy. So,
Okay. so far I've been working under the assumption that things are going to take up a quarter of the screen.
Yeah.
And that's been a little bit limiting, but nothing too bad.
Yeah, now you'll have more space to play with.
Okay.
All right. That's it. I will put this. I'll put this up on YouTube and share it. So, anything else that anyone's got? No. All right.
Nope.
All
Good
right.
talk. Good talk.
Good deal. See you.
See ya.